Hello. I really don't want to keep doing these, which is sort of the flavor that we're in right now. Which is largely because it would be a lot easier to just do something that, I don't know, is informative, funny, not actually connected. And that's sort of what's driving me here today as I saw some video by some woman who's talking about loneliness or something. I don't know if autism was in there as well, but something about that in the third person about, how, it sort of manifests like this, or it's not exactly like that. And it's all this informational stuff, which I don't know, maybe if it's where you're at, okay. But for me, I actually got rather offended by it and quit watching because I wasn't connecting with it. It was just one more book or informational session where nobody actually had any skin in the game in what they're sitting there telling you about. And it was a way it felt to me like it was not living it themselves, trying to tell me about me and come up with these theories and explanations. And it's like, no, it's if you know, you know. And that's on one hand what makes it so difficult to kind of show up, because there's something about however you walk the path yourself that might resonate with someone. But there's also the side of that of like, well, who do I want to actually see this? Well, no one. I don't want anyone to see this. And then that would be great. Which is it's kind of the thing of like, well, then don't do anything. And it's like, well, yeah, but then it really hurts not to do anything, which is very much like, I'm trying to work out more. Do you want to work out? No, I want to go have a pizza. Okay, sometimes that happens. And then I feel worse, and then, and nothing really moves, I guess. And that's not, which sounds at all like, okay, so why am I here? And that's, that, I'll tell you. I'm Christopher, and if you came here looking for answers, I don't have any. I would also go so far as to say I don't think there are any answers out there either. You could certainly go find them in other channels, but to me, there is no answer, kind of thing. Does that mean don't try? No. And that's sort of what the topic of this one is about. Is, yes, okay, maybe I don't know where to go or what to do or the rest of it, but then in doing that, it all just kind of works, right? Oh, no, well, sort of, well, and that's kind of how this starts out, is kind of got some notes, right? Oh, yeah. And so I guess, yeah, as what was sort of triggering me today. And the thing is I don't actually feel like horribly bad. And that's part of this too. And part of the motivation of this is this journey for me has ultimately led to actually becoming, in a good way, a lot of things I spent my life chasing after. Happiness, feeling comfortable, just joy for no reason, or a sense of peace, nothing else. Anxiety's way down, all of that. And all the things anyone ever actually told me, or answers I thought would solve the problem, or things I could accomplish, none of that helped. Well, I can't deny it either. It's just, was there a pot of gold at that rainbow? No. Well, yes. Allow me to elaborate. Many years ago, yeah, in an effort to like, okay, really gonna, really gonna do this, gonna take care of myself, gonna figure out what I need to do to, and oh, for what it's worth, just a general comment of her thing of, feeling lonely or the rest of it. And she's like, well, no, I don't really think it's that. I think people actually like feeling like, are just okay with it. No, up front, my personal experience of it has been I could wrap it in, you know, more and more layers of concrete and soundproof the rooms and create longer and longer tunnels away from it and continue to distance myself from it. But it never went away. It just, the noise floor lowered to a point where I could turn on the radio, I could play a video game, I could do a lot of things that sort of would just kind of, that noise level, I wouldn't focus on the noise level anymore. And when I lost focus, I wouldn't tell the narrative. And so I established very elaborate coping mechanisms to kind of deal with that. And that's sort of what this story is today, is the an attempt, if you will, at coping with that. And where I was, I don't know, my 30s, I guess, early 30s, was I had kind of read enough, done enough where it's like, all right, I need to be the kind of person that I want to attract, that I want to be with around. And it's like, what am I going to do? It's like, well, maybe I need to learn to cook, kind of thing. Because ran into one guy, kind of was talking to him, and he was kind of made some comments like, well, what's your specialty? What's your special dish, kind of thing? And he was like, don't say scrambled eggs. It's like, oh, shit, I got nothing. And it wasn't just that, but a lot of other little things kind of like turned into, well, it wasn't just that. It was, I was going to the gym more, and that was actually kind of going great. And I'd go and I'd grab a burger on the way home and the rest of that. And what ended up happening is my triglycerides were out the roof. Healthy, the rest of that, but it's like, no. So then it kind of turned to, oh, we could put you on all this medication. It's like, I don't want the medication. So, okay, so you got to eat better. What are you going to do? It's like, well, I don't know, you going to cook? What? Going to go out to eat? Well, I'm not going to go out to eat alone, because kind of one aspect of isolation, loneliness that I don't think a lot of, that I think ultimately people don't understand it because they don't notice the things that long-term lonely people notice, which is like two-seater booths in a restaurant kind of thing, it's, those things stand out, I think, to people that are isolated, but those that just kind of take that for granted, like, oh yeah, you always have someone to sit with, or the rest of that, that's just something I don't think they notice. There's a lot of little things like that, but I don't want to turn that into that today. So, process thinking that, oh, you're going to go out to eat? Oh, no, I'm not going to sit out alone. Then I'll feel really alone. And it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do? You're going to cook? It's like, I don't know. I guess I can. I mean, I figure stuff out. I'm an engineer. How can I not learn to cook, right? So I decided I was going to learn to cook, among other things. It's like, yeah, then I could be, more of someone, I don't know, worth being around or something, right? Because you need all these accomplishments, right? Because isn't that when people start looking for that? Oh, if you check all these boxes, you're therefore a person worth, worth meeting, worth going out with, which I think kind of where I'm at today. I don't know about, nothing's further from the truth, but that ain't it. At least that's not how it's not how I experience it today. But so decided I was going to do that. Cool. What is cooking? I don't know. Watch some cooking shows. You get a recipe, right? My initial belief of what cooking was is you take a bunch of ingredients and you turn them from cold to warm. I know. No, that's not it. It's not it at all. Like, okay, 'cause that really tasted quite awful. No flavors made it together. The rest of it's just, yeah. So watching cooking shows, and one of these things they had on there is they've got this reduction. They're like, oh, they got this pan and things are sizzling and it sounds great. It's like, that's kind of great. It's like, I have wine, and I ran across some peaches in the store. It's like, oh, there's some peaches, great. And then I just kind of decided, maybe just some things that I like, I'll just put together. And from my perspective, a reduction is just, you just keep cooking it until most of it goes away. Okay. So I did that. But in the process of doing that, I got creative and kind of thought, well, why don't I just put things in there I like? I like cinnamon. I like this. I like, some other things. And I just started picking out some things that flavors I liked. And I started throwing it all together into the pan. And white wine and that and any, I don't know, white wine, I guess I wanted to drink. I think it was pour a little, drink a little, and then it really got fun. Until it really began to simmer down, and it made such an indescribably awful smell that I couldn't get out of the house for weeks. It was one of those things I thought literally the house was going to smell like that forever, which the actual image I think that came to mind was when a friend of mine and I were in the Navy, and we went to get some food, and he got this massive Mountain Dew, like one of those 64-ounce ultra uber big gulp whatever kind of things, and it was a brand new car, and I put it up on the dash, and I was just getting stuff situated, and he took off, and this monster cup kind of thing just came dumping down into my lap and all over his floor, lost the whole thing in his car. But we had to get back to base, had to get, whatever we were doing that day, something like that. It was a hot day in Orlando. And so, left, did that. And I guess we were going to go clean it up, but I don't know how long the car sat there. But when he went out in there later, and it smelled so bad. Stuff started growing from, I guess, all the sugars or whatever in the carpet, and he never got the smell out of that car, kind of thing. And it was like bad. And that's the image I had in my mind as I'm making this. I don't know what, I'm just making this caramelized. No, caramelized does it. Excuse me, it does it too much. I don't know. It gives it too much credit. It wasn't nearly like, oh, yes, can you taste, smell or taste the nuanced flavor? No, there was nothing nuanced about it. I can't even call it like shit. It's just indescribably awful, offensive. And that's when I decided I need cooking lessons. Clearly, cooking is more than just making a list of ingredients warm kind of thing. And so went about doing that. And in the process of doing that, I began to eat healthier because taking classes or whatnot, signing up for some stuff online, and I really began, to learn knife skills and the rest of that. And you're like, all right, so what? Well, I was actually in the process of learning that. I actually learned how to cook healthy meals as a part of that too. And now that kind of tied in with the exercise and the healthy meals, and body started regulating on its own, didn't need the medication, and I actually began to get healthy kind of thing, and actually, began to really notice some significant changes for the better. And along that same time, I had it in, I don't know how I got this into my head, but a part of that was I was going to learn how to dance. So I figured if I could learn how to dance, I could meet people, dancing, whatever, right? And I think the other side of that was this whole, I was so incredibly shy and reserved and anxious and all of that, that what caused me to truly know that I needed to learn something about dancing is I looked in the mirror and I looked at myself and I tried to dance, and the very first just movement and seeing myself in some sort of just I don't know, just awful like, oh my God, what is this going on? Was so embarrassing, even though nobody's in the room and the rest of that. And just, I just wanted to and curl up and die at that whole thing, which is like, oh, hey, we're on to something here. So, because I don't know what the hell's going on. I just had this long-standing belief that I could fix whatever was wrong with me. So if I could just find whatever felt wrong and make it stop feeling wrong, that, I don't know, somewhere along the line it would just stop being wrong. And that's where I started to do more of that, and was working out, and, lost weight. Not like this. You might think, oh, the camera makes you look fat. It's like, no, my face makes me look fat. I'm working on it. Which is, again, one of those narratives where it's like, do you really need to say that? It's like, it's me trying to joke about this to sort of relieve, I don't know, is it really anxious? Not exactly, but there's a part of this that's difficult. Anyway, in the process of all that, cooking, eating healthier, working out, starting to dance. Oh, yeah. And in the process of starting to do that, that's where I knew so little about any of it. It's just like, what are you going to do? I don't know, Parks and Rec or something? What do they have in Park? What's available in Parks and Rec? And the only thing I could find at the time was something like East Coast swing or West Coast swing dancing or something, which sounded like, I don't know, I guess. I don't know the names of any of this shit. So I went, and, oh God, there were so few people there. And just about everyone has partners. It's one of those kinds of things that makes it, additionally difficult. But I kind of, okay, that's hard, but okay. But the other people that, well, I don't know if it was any other people or if it was just one other person. It might have only been one other person that was single. And I think she was like 95 years old and like practically a skeleton and couldn't move all that much. So, yeah. So basically, I ended up taking a class to dance with my grandmother, right? And it's like, yeah, this is, which kind of worked for me in a weird way, in the sense that the universe, for me at least, has a wicked sense of humor, and it's like, yeah, this makes sense. You know how you, sure, let's just go with it. All right, fine. Sure. So thankfully it was only like, oh God, I didn't go to all the classes. I can't really say I was there. And it's like, I went there and embraced it. It's like, no, I showed up and I kind of cringed, but it was just like, fucking doing this, and so, yeah, so I might have gone to maybe half the classes, 2/3 of them, I'd like to believe. Thankfully there weren't too many. So that was my first foray into dancing. That, and a super awkward trying to just sort of, do the I don't know, the slow bounce, if you will, against the wall, like if you try to go to a club or something and hate dancing and hate loud music and go anyway because you think somehow this is just what people do and it's going to work out, which is kind of makes me wonder when I watch all these videos of people diagnosed with autism, and a lot of that stuff resonates with me, but I'm not diagnosed, and I would kind of like to be diagnosed just because then I sort of feel like I'd fit in with at least a group where I could say, oh yeah, hey, I'm with them. And that would be fine, but there's a part of me too that doesn't really want to have a label for the sake of the label to suddenly make an excuse for how I feel or how I exist. There's kind of a part of me where it's like, does it really matter? Arguably not. I don't know. Talking to someone, talking to a friend I know has ADD, he's telling me kind of all these things where it's like, oh my God, I can't focus on any of this stuff either these days. It's like, oh yeah, once that, got medicated, the rest of that, I've got all this focus, and the rest of that, I could never do any of these other things. And it's like, yeah, but there's a part of me where it's like, I like not being focused and being kind of weird and, having nothing finished and sort of that creative joy of all that. So, it's like, I don't, at the time I was seeing those things like that, the phrase I would use is like, I don't want to be unbroken kind of thing. But the way I kind of feel today is I'm not really sure anything's wrong. This all feels just fine. But we haven't really, but yeah, a little bit of a sidebar there on the story. So, learning to dance, trying to stare at myself as I make awkward bouncing movements in the mirror, and I don't know, apparently swing dancing is for old people, I guess. Yeah, now you know. So in doing that, and I'm not really sure which one came first, I then signed up for salsa dancing, which went a lot better, and some very attractive woman was there who was single, who was also married, and that gets weird because, like, what's, then there's this idea of appropriate or not, but anyway, which again is a bunch of narratives about, is something supposed to be this or that or whatever. And these days, I don't know that I really care, but back then it felt like it mattered, to me. I'm like, oh, okay, these things kind of matter. These days, I don't know. So that combined with the working out all ties to this, all has a core that ties all this together. And that's where I've been going with this. And the core that ties all this together, and I'm unsure exactly where it happened in the midst of all this, is in the process of working out over, a lot of time, high intensity stuff, whatever kind of thing. I actually looked in the mirror one day and I didn't recognize who I saw. And who I saw actually looked good. Like, good. It's like, whoa. And what I realized, what happened immediately is I looked away. And I couldn't stand seeing that person. And that's when I realized that who I was becoming didn't fit the narrative I had long written for myself. And it actually went to a point where I even considered, well, do you just stop working out? Do you stop doing all this stuff kind of thing? And go back to looking like someone you can stand to look at? No, because that didn't quite feel right either, because I actually felt good. I was okay feeling good. I just couldn't stand to look at myself. Which, it's like, oh, everything's fine. It's like, no, there's issues there. I get it. But the response the conclusion I came to that I was okay with is I would just stop looking in the mirror. So if I shave, looking down. I might look up for a minute, just, whatever, brush my teeth when I stop looking at myself. And that was my first experience of even beginning to realize that the problem wasn't, well, no, let me rephrase that. That of the things I needed to look at about myself, one of them was in fact learning to open up, and that still was a journey. That there was still a long journey ahead on that one, but just as long a journey, maybe even longer one, that really wasn't a problem so long as I never tried too hard, kind of thing, was I was unable to receive any good things that came back. And so consequently, I would only try just this hard. Not too much. Don't achieve too, don't be seen. Just how much could we sort of get by on, and sort of try, but either try to fail, try with the intent to fail, or self-destructive kind of aspects, which would be okay, or try to a point where then we would get distracted with other things so that we could sort of float in this area where nobody looked too good, felt too good, was too accomplished, the rest of that. And I kind of wonder if that's reflected in a lot of areas of my life, pretty much in every area of my life. Not a lot, every area of my life. And that's how I lived for, well, the the exception with the exception of the last few years, where I can't say it's like it's all different, but it's been changing a lot. That was that was a significant moment in my life. Realizing that I'm not even sure that I realized everything in that moment in time. It was way too much to take in just in that moment, because I think had I been working with somebody or whatever, a lot more, progress or movement could have been made, but it's not my life. But it's a real important thing, I feel like, to bring up regarding this path of, well, my path. And I'm not sure who resonates with that, but it feels important to me to kind of talk about it's not wrong, trying or whatever, it's not about, and I don't really like using the phrase anymore, it's not about, but it's a real habit of mine. But part of the whole experience, I remember how I wanted to wrap this up, is that these parts of trying come from a place where I don't know how to be any different at the time. And this is kind of where, in today's day and age of people shouting or pointing at each other kind of thing about you should be, or you need to know, or it's like, I don't know, from my experience, that ain't it. If someone told me, hey, you're stupid, it's like, you're not helping at all. I'm not sure anyone kind of goes, yes, I just didn't realize it. I needed someone to tell me I was stupid. So it's all better now. At least, I don't know. That wouldn't have worked for me. So we're all doing the best we can, kind of thing, for where we're at. And part of that path is really just thinking we know, you know? Oh, hey, yeah, I'm going to go dancing. What are you going to do? Take swing dancing. You know, I'm going to be good and checking the box, and then I'll be this kind of person that can be, I don't know, accomplished enough that someone would say, ah, yes, him. Oh, okay, cool. And none of it worked. And that's kind of where I liken it to a video game where if you showed up, like I think I've referenced before, like, RPGs are pretty much the flavor of almost any video game in the sense that the world needs a hero, and in order to become that hero, you need to do all of these things. And then you can fight the final battle and win and become ta-da. But the way it feels to me today is the treasure is right there, right here, right now, right here, right now, every moment. And let's just say every video game were written just like that, where you started in the village and you look over and there's this giant pile of treasure and everything one step away. And if you paid $60 for the game and you took one step and you claimed it and it said you won, how would you feel? That's it. Game over. The end. You won. Congratulations. I would fight with that answer. Oh no, 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 no. You can't just give it to me. You can't. No, 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 no. And that's its own form of narrative. That's me not able to look at the person in the mirror once I began to look better, once I began to look healthier. Me finding reasons why I couldn't just have fun dancing with an attractive woman. Oh, well, married. Oh, well, I've got all these reasons why this is maybe not acceptable. Just have fun. And all these reasons not to actually just step into life. What if the game were the character where just grabbed the treasure and then just lived his best life? Maybe those evils were not looking, were looking away, were an unwillingness to look at what we're carrying. Because that, to me, is a big part of this journey of no answers, is exploring those things that feel like they need exploring. And doing it until I either get to the ends of all the rainbows where there's nothing there. Well, actually, that's not true. What's always there is me. You're at the end of every rainbow and nothing else. And one day you'll realize that's not a big disappointment. That's your greatest joy. But so long as there's something else that needs fixing, that needs attention, that needs, in order to fill a sense of lack, in order to fill a void, that void can never be filled. You don't. But then how does it go away? And it's like, well, it wasn't because of an answer. That's all I could say. But the path needed to be, for me, I mean, there is no other path for me, kind of thing. There is no other, I don't think it's just for me. I think ultimately for all of us, there is no other path but your path. And all that stuff along the way, good, bad, indifferent, whatever, um, it's worth something. You know, the delusion is it too. You know, and that's where I couldn't feel better today without having done those things, thinking that the answer was at the end of that rainbow, um, and finding disappointment there and disappointment there. Oh well, once I get a good job, once I get. Well, the only thing that keeps showing up is me. Ah, and so long as I felt like that, yeah, there was always something else that needed to be fixed. But, you know, what if nothing's wrong? What if the treasure's right there every single day? And it's kind of interesting because it's like, there's one phrase that goes, I think it's whatever appears, don't believe it. And I sort of laugh because it's kind of like, the narrative of like, well, if I could only cook or dance or whatever, But there's also the whole thing of like, well, yes, well, what if I just took the treasure? Do I just believe the treasure as well? It's like, I the way it feels to me at the moment, and I'm not even sure where I saw this, but it was like as soon as a letter arrives, now too much is showing up, um, and it's all those fantasies, delusions, ideas about how it's supposed to be, how right now is is somehow inadequate, um, and knowing that, that's the knowing I'm talking about. Let all that shit go, and it's like, oh, okay, well now I'm going to know I let it go. No, no, stop that too. Stop it. Just stop it. Um, and to me, I guess that initially felt, um, yeah, like fun. I don't know how it initially felt, but what's coming to mind is like, yeah, falling down a well, right? Um, there's a lot of scrambling and lost, and oh my God, I don't have anything to hold on to, and but that's a problem, and um, I kind of feel like it's, oh yeah, I forgot how I was going to name this: dancing and the bowl of anxiety. Um, and that I had almost forgotten the second part. The second part being the anxious aspect of you're falling down a well, and yeah, initially going to flip out and go, and it's going to be even worse. It's going to be crazy because now I have nothing to hold on to. I have nothing to, and it's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like that. Um, but the thing is, for me at least, another part of this puzzle for me was, um, this idea that if I'm the notion of it being, if you're at the bottom, if you're a marble and you're at the bottom of a dinner bowl, kind of a bowl, doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be a dinner bowl, but a bowl, and you're trying to get out of that bowl, it's in every single direction, it's more difficult than where you currently are. And I feel as though that all these answers, all this information that I've been looking for, is information that I expected would make the path easier, and I would work real hard at making the path easier, less anxious, less whatever kind of thing. Um, and hence the reason I'm even doing this video, which I suspect is quite long by now. anyway, is that it doesn't, for me at least, it doesn't feel like that. To take a step to get out of the bowl, you have to do something outside the realm of where you've existed, i.e., whatever existence you're currently in, there is no tool or no action within that existence that will help you get out. You're trapped in a bubble. You're trapped in a bowl. There is nothing that you can do that does not leave the bowl that will help you leave the bowl. So if your idea is this, well, I go to work, I go home. For me, I don't know, I play video games, I take educational classes, and I'm just going to do that more, you know? It's this whole thing of, I'm going to make $1 million because I'm going to buy a bunch of fruit at $1 per, whatever, apple kind of thing, $1 per apple. And I'm going to buy it at $1 per apple, and I'm going to sell it at $1 per apple. And, well, I didn't make any money. So what do I need? I need a bigger truck. It's like, no. And I kind of feel as though that sometimes is how we approach our self-enrichment or self-betterment or self-help or whatever you want to call it. That's how we approach solving whatever we're doing. I'm just going to do more of it in the same way. And that's where I'm getting at with the bowl and, with the dancing and the rest of that is I could have bettered myself. Well, and I really tried to better myself more and more and more, but I couldn't receive what came back. And what I realized, not at that time, I'm looking back, 20 years, 20 plus years. I'm looking back now and realizing that, it was a very real step to get out of one bowl kind of thing, which was trying to open up a little bit more. Maybe, I don't know if you want to call it, be a little bit more fun, but whatever. That was getting out of the first bowl, but that bowl was in a second bowl, which was receiving people going, oh, hey, I like that. Hey, you want to do, and it's like, no, I can't handle that. Which in its own way was enough momentum to roll back up and back over and back into the first bowl. And it's like, okay, so I just can't even, I can't deal with, we're just going to scale it down on the self-improvement thing so that I can self-improve enough, but not too much to actually be seen. Or God forbid, I don't know, liked or whatever. So, yes, there's the dancing and the bowl of anxiety is in, falling into the well, in losing any handhold on what your life might have been and exactly what I'm doing here, because I don't know how the hell this is going to go. That's it. It has to, and I hate to say it like this, but this is just how it's feeling, is it's going to get worse before it gets better. And the thing is, I don't believe it's actually getting worse. That's where I like that phrase of whatever appears, don't believe it. Because that's the narrative of this extra anxiety, this I know how this whole thing is going to go, how this YouTube thing is going to go. No, I don't. And I could look out there for other people's experiences or whatever, but they're not this channel. They're not me. They're not living my life. And that's just sort of the absurdity of, like, I'm asking someone else how to live my life? How on earth would they know? I don't know. How the hell would you know? So, think I'm going to call it there. This feels like this has gone on for a while. But, yeah, I don't know. Wrap it up with, right? You are more powerful than you can possibly imagine, and you are worthy of love. Good night. Damn it. I know.